This from CBSSports.com. One thing we learned about each team in Week 15. For the Houston Texans, the opponent, C.J. Stroud needs to return as soon as possible. First 3 quarters against the Titans, who the Texans beat in overtime. Texans had 206 yards and scored 9 points. Case Keenum, 15 of 23, 120 yards, and interception, averaging 5.2 yards per attempt. So, Fred, C.J. Stroud, rookie quarterback from Ohio State, has played really well, still in concussion protocol as we speak. When you look at this game, what are some of the keys?
Well, I think that the Texans, when you went in this year, you thought you had a rebuilding team, that probably this would be a win for you. Now you're on the road on Christmas Eve, and I think obviously Stroud playing is a big deal. We all know Case Keenum well. I mean, a journeyman quarterback that can step in. The Browns had him here the year Baker Mayfield got hurt, and nobody knew Case Keenum better than Kevin Stefanski, and he chose to play Baker Mayfield every week over Case Keenum, who was a very high-paid backup because he felt like that was a better chance to win. And so I think he's a game manager at this point in his career. So Stroud's, changed the dynamic. They need this game big, not only for tiebreakers in the conference, but they're fighting for the division. I think they're tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars and maybe even the Colts for the top record, and they could win their division. So they really need this game very badly. And I'd be surprised if Stroud's not ready to go. So if he's ready to go, then it all, again, is on the defense. Jim Schwartz, come up with a plan to keep him from – he doesn't run as much as some of the quarterbacks, but he still is mobile, has good legs there. But they got to figure out a way to keep him, in check. Tank Dell, their top receiver, is out for the year. I'm not sure Nico Collins, who's the next man up, where he stands. I think he missed last week, but they still have a very good, offense, especially with Stroud. And you've seen you can't sleep on him. You get a lead, he still has brought him back. So I think it's on the defense to keep the Texans in check. And then I think Joe Flacco can figure out a way to move the ball and use Dustin Hopkins, get points, and win the game. But I think a lot of it is, again, on the defense and keeping Stroud and the Texans' offense in check.
So Texans have been taking care of the ball and have a pretty good turnover differential. It's one of the best in the league. I think they're tied for 4th. Again, we say this every week. Every week the Browns seem to turn the ball over and find a way to win. Eventually, that catches up to you, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, it should have cost them last week the game. I mean, they've still not won the turnover battle now, I think, in 10 of their 14 games, and 2 or 3 of them they had the same. So it's really concerning. And so you would think Jim Schwartz, with his experience, would be able to maybe dial up and bait Stroud into making some mistakes. But that will be key. As you said, the Browns and the Texans are 15. The Browns are -7, 28th in the NFL in turnover ratio, where the Texans are +8 and they're 4th. So that's really the difference. You look statistically, these teams are about identical, but that turnover is really what will set it apart, and you can almost expect it to be, again, the deciding factor in this week's game.